My name is Cian White. I'm a postdoc researcher with the Farm Zero C project, and my job is to try and increase biodiversity here at Shinnock. As part of that, we've worked with the West Cork Trees project run by Carberry to increase the biodiversity here at Shinnock. And to our right here we have an example of a species-rich hedgerow that we've planted. It's got whitethorn and blackthorn in it, but it's also got hazel, spindle, Guelder Rose, rowan, lots of different flowering tree species that produce flowers in the summer and then berries in the autumn that can then feed lots of different insects and birds. So that's the reason that we've planted that species composition. And then we've also chosen this location because it was a part of the farm that wasn't used for agricultural practice. This was just a mown lawn, and then we've kind of connected the farm yard back here down to the rest of the farm. So we've created this corridor to connect up parts of the farm. We've got these networks for nature so that species can move around in these habitats. So this is a nice example of using the trees from the West Cork Trees project. So talking through some of the species that we planted here in a bit more detail. Over here we have a bird cherry. This is a tree species that will grow relatively tall. Part of the Rosaceae family, similar to cherry and apple. It's a nice white flower in the spring and then will produce cherries in the autumn. Birds will come and eat. The next species will be familiar to everybody. It's hazel, a nice kind of shrub species that can do very well in hedgerows, and they will produce lots of hazelnuts obviously in the autumn. And then we have the two thorn species. We have a hawthorn or whitethorn, and then blackthorn, and behind that produces sloe. They both have nice white flowers in the springtime, and then red berries for hawthorn, and then the sloes for the blackthorn in autumn again. We have Guelder Rose. This is more of a shrub, herbaceous shrub. It's not really a tree. Again, produces these nice white umbels of flowers in the spring, and then red berries in the autumn. And then lastly, a bit more rare, but this is a spindle tree. Again, it's a tree. In the olden times, they used to use the branches from the spindle tree to produce spindles. It creates nice, very straight branches for knitting with. And it produces kind of very drab green flowers in the spring, but then in the autumn, the seed capsules are this bright pink colour. So it actually is a very nice colour to the hedgerow in the autumn. Lots of different species. They all flower and produce some kind of food for different animals. And that's why we planted them in this hedge. So we just looked at establishing a hedgerow with new trees, and now we're looking at maintaining and increasing the quality of an existing hedgerow. So this hedgerow is essentially just brambles over a ditch, over an earth bank, and there's lots of rabbits in here as well. So we've planted a tree, it's a hazel, and that will increase the quality by introducing a new vegetation structure to this hedgerow. So now it'll grow into a tree, and then that will increase the quality. We've made sure to put a guard around it, a rabbit guard, so that it'll actually last in this hedgerow. A lot of people put these kind of trees into hedgerows like this and then don't protect them, and you can lose most of the trees you do that with if you don't protect them. So hopefully this tree will then last and then introduce this structure to the hedgerow that'll really improve the quality of it. So now we're out here looking at what I would describe as a good quality hedgerow. So obviously it's flowering first of all, which is nice, so that means that it's not over-managed. If you cut a hedgerow every year, you're going to bring back green vegetation, but it won't flower as much as it could. So we would recommend a kind of a rotational grazing, say, for hedgerows, where you manage it maybe 3 to 5 years. And for example, this hedgerow here is flowering because it's not being cut every year. So that's nice. Other things to look at a hedgerow are, there's 3 layers to it. There's the tree layer, we have a shrub layer, and then we have a kind of understory layer, kind of ground flora. And those 3 layers are present, means that it's a good quality hedgerow. And then lastly, there's no gaps in the hedgerow. It's kind of fully fleshed out, all the vegetation's there. So they're the kind of things that you're looking for in a hedgerow. So this is kind of the example where you can go with Carberry trees. If you are trying to increase the quality of hedgerows, you could plant them, as we've seen just previously, to try and create a hedgerow that looks like this. And if you can create hedgerows like this on your farm, you're really doing a lot for biodiversity, as hedgerows are the most important habitat on your farm for biodiversity.